Architectural Outcast.
This video is part of my ongoing series, How to Think Like an Architect. In my previous video, I argued it's an illegitimate form of criticism to ask an artist, why didn't you do something else instead? Y'all can do whatever you're of a mind to. Personally, I have never and will never answer that question. This time around, we're talking legitimate forms of criticism. Specifically, the most simple and straightforward type of art criticism, evaluating a work of art based upon the artist's own statements. And the example I'm going to use, Peter Jackson's adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. I apologize for my voice. Cold stink. In full disclosure, I love Peter Jackson's adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. I think it's the greatest movie trilogy ever made. And to complicate things even more, in my opinion, Peter Jackson comes off as a genuinely nice guy, appreciative of what he's accomplished and appreciative of his fans. I've met quite a few famous and influential people in my time. You know what they say, never meet your heroes. It's amazing how often the people whose art I admire have turned out to be disgusting human beings, complete wastes of human skin. There's no way I'd ever associate with them under any circumstances. I have no desire to meet the majority of people in Hollywood. Peter Jackson is an exception. I'd love to sit with him in a pub over a nice glass of scotch and pick his brain. If nothing else, I'd want to hear Christopher Lee stories. It's human nature. A piece of art that we love by an artist we like and admire, there's a tendency to pull our punches, overlook things, and let things slide. But we can't do this if we want to maintain any type of intellectual honesty. The reason why I engage in art criticism is to have a greater understanding of art, for self-improvement, and hopefully to help the artist become better. So if anything, you need to go harder at the art you love by the artists you like and admire. If for no other reason, to always maintain honesty with yourself. As good a place as any to begin critiquing art is by asking two questions. What did the artist say they were trying to accomplish? And did they accomplish it? Now, a lot of artists can be very cagey and vague when they describe what they were trying to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that just means we're going to have to make a lot of assumptions in trying to answer those questions. This can deteriorate into a complete waste of time very quickly. With Peter Jackson, we don't have that problem. In the now famous interview with Charlie Rose, he very clearly laid out what his goals were.
In terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it.
On a side note, Charlie Rose brilliantly illustrates the illegitimacy of the "why didn't you do something else" question. Charlie Rose isn't trying to help Peter Jackson make better art. He's not interested in the movie. He doesn't give a tinker's damn about Tolkien. Can't even pronounce his name right. What he cares about is his agenda. The purpose of the question was to put Peter Jackson on the defensive. There's no doubt that my agenda belongs in this film. I demand an explanation to why my agenda wasn't put in this film. You need to give me an accounting right now. Explain your transgressions. Peter Jackson handled it brilliantly and very diplomatically. He was a lot nicer than I would have been in the circumstances. But then again, I come from the architectural world. We have a bit of a rep. Deserved. Jackson stated that he had two goals: keeping the spirit of Tolkien in his adaptation and keeping out modern baggage. Does anybody want to make the claim that he failed at those goals? Anybody? Hey, don't look at me. I'm not making that argument. But what I am going to do is ask the question, is there any instances within the story where he lost the spirit of Tolkien or failed to keep modern baggage out? I'm the one making the video, and I'm the one asking the question, so clearly I have something in mind. Let's talk about Merry's dagger. What's in the dagger? Well, Tolkien tells us exactly what was in Merry's dagger. So passed the sword of the Barrow Downs, work of Westerness, but glad would he have been to know its fate, who wrought it slowly long ago in the North Kingdom, when the Dunedain were young, and chief among their foes was the dread realm of Angmar and its sorcerer king. No other blade, not though mightier hands had wielded it, would have dealt that foe a wound so bitter, cleaving the undead flesh, breaking the spell that knit his unseen sinews to his will. Cool. I want one. Might come in handy the next time I run into a Witch King. As Merry slowly crept up behind the Witch King, waiting for the right opportunity to strike, he just so happened to have one of the few blades in all of Middle-earth that would do actual harm to the Witch King, break the spell that Sauron had put on him, making him vulnerable to mortal weapons, allowing Eowyn the opportunity to give the coup de grace, killing him once and for all. Where did Merry get such a badass weapon? Tom Bombadil. I have a video that goes into greater depth about Merry's dagger. I'll put it in a link in the description down below if y'all are interested. And while y'all are down there, feel free to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, that video is one of my first ones, so please don't judge me too harshly. Wait a minute. This is one of my first videos. Yeah, so if you don't mind, please like. The quick and dirty version. The four hobbits flee the Shire into the Old Forest. They're ensnared and almost killed by Old Man Willow. They're saved by Tom Bombadil. He takes them to his home and allows them to recuperate. They tell him the purpose of their journey. He gives them some advice, sets them on their way. They're promptly ensnared by the Barrow-wight and almost killed. They're saved again by Tom. The Barrow Downs are the tombs of the ancient kings of Westerness, Aragorn's ancestors. Within those tombs, Tom finds 4 magic daggers. He gives them to the 4 hobbits and tells them it's wise to carry a blade if you're going on an adventure. Sets them on their way again. Merry and Pippin lose their daggers when they're captured by the Uruk-hai. Uruk-hai don't throw the daggers away. They bring them with them because Saruman had said, "Bring me the hobbits and everything they possess." Sorry, I can't do a Christopher Lee voice. Merry and Pippin escape into Fanghorn Forest when the Uruk-hai are attacked by the riders of Rohan. Arriving at the aftermath of the battle, Aragorn finds Merry and Pippin's daggers. He recognizes them for what they are, the work of his ancient kin. And he values them so much, he carries them on his person all the way to the gates of Isengard, where he returns them to Merry and Pippin. Merry carries his dagger all the way to the Pelennor Fields, where he then creeps up behind the Witch King and stabs him in the back of the knee. What does this have to do with the price of tea in China? Well, it depends on your interpretation. You could argue it's just coincidence. Interesting things happened on an interesting adventure. I would argue that the dagger takes on a lot more significance within the context of Gandalf's conversation with Frodo, where he says the forces of evil aren't the only ones influencing Middle-earth.
There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it.
If Frodo was meant to have the ring, then Merry was also meant to have that dagger. It's a balancing act between divine purpose and free will. As long as Merry stayed true to his convictions, was loyal to his friends, and followed the journey to its completion, Iluvatar would make sure that he had the tool necessary to complete the job that he'd been assigned. Merry had become an agent of divine retribution. Eowyn as well. Because she chose to be at the Pelennor Fields, she chose to bring Merry with her, and then she chose to step up to defend her uncle Theoden, she also became an agent of divine retribution. In Peter Jackson's adaptation, Merry's dagger is nothing special. It's just an ordinary blade with no magic, and Merry doesn't carry this dagger throughout his adventures. Eowyn gives it to him just before they leave for the Pelennor Fields. this creates some major non-Tolkienian plot holes. If the Witch King can be killed by normal weapons, why is he even still alive? You're going to tell me that in the ancient kingdom of Westerness, full of the Dunedain, nobody thought of the idea to stick a knife in his back? Why not just take a couple hundred Dunedain, couple hundred Aragorns, and just dogpile his ass? Swarm him over with numbers. But Randy, no man can kill the Witch King. And I ask the question, how does that work if he can be killed by ordinary weapons? Merry's a man, and his blade did damage, so men can injure the Witch King, but apparently not kill him. So you're going to tell me that Westerners couldn't come up with a plan that allowed a bunch of men to wound the Witch King to the point some shield maiden could walk up and stick her sword in his face? And then there's the problem of Merry himself. If any old blade will do, that means any old hand wielding the blade will do as well. The fact that Merry was the one who stuck the knife in the back of the knee is irrelevant. That means that Merry and Éowyn are no longer agents of divine retribution. They're just petulant children who snuck out of the house after dark because mean old Uncle Theoden wouldn't bring them along to play with his friends. As you can see, the further you go down this particular rabbit hole, the more cracks you find in Jackson's storytelling. You don't need to bring Tom Bombadil back to fix it, though. All you would have had to have done was kept the dagger magical. Why they didn't gets to the other issue, modern baggage. Jackson and his writers were under intense pressure to change Tolkien, to bring in modern day values, modern day baggage. I mean, just look at the Charlie Rose interview as to the level of pressure that he was under. There are stories that in one of the drafts, Arwen was supposed to fight through the Nazgul to get Frodo into Rivendell. The backlash at the time was so intense that Liv Tyler herself came out and gave an interview where she said, no, we're not doing that. Arwen may not go into battle, but Éowyn does. But the proponents of modern baggage have a problem. Merry's magic dagger. Éowyn doesn't kill the Witch King without Merry's help, and without the help of whoever put that dagger in Merry's hand. To use the modern language, Éowyn was robbed of her agency. That magic dagger had to go. But Merry's still the one who stabbed him in the back of the knee. Éowyn needed his help to kill the Witch King, right? No. If any old dagger will do, that means any old hand will do. The only reason why Merry is there is because Éowyn chose him. She gave him the dagger, and she brought him into the Pelennor Fields. All threads go through her. Merry's just along for the ride. A great big plot hole was blown in Jackson's story, all for the sake of modern baggage. Does this modern baggage ruin the movie? Nah. And this to Peter Jackson's credit, and shows how much of the spirit of Tolkien he was able to capture in his adaptation. Everybody had their role to play. Frodo and Sam carry the ring off to Mount Doom. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli go get the Oathbreakers. Gandalf and Pippin are in Gondor. Gandalf leading the defense of the city, and Pippin saving Faramir's life. So when Merry drives his dagger into the back of the Witch King's knee, we as the audience intuitively know he's where he's supposed to be, doing what he's supposed to do. And we can easily ignore the inconsistencies of Jackson's storytelling. But it doesn't matter what you like. It is invalid, illegitimate, unjust even, to hold an artist accountable to what we like, our preferences, what we think they should have done and should do. But it is legitimate to hold an artist accountable to what they think, their values, and what they say they are doing and will do. The cool thing, you get used to thinking in this way, you'll find it transfers to other parts of life really well. Suddenly, it's very easy to spot who's principled and who's saying whatever they need to say to get what they want in the moment. At any rate, I hope I've given you all something to think about, and until next time, you all be safe. I'd appreciate if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel.
Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment.